Welcome back, folks of YouTube, and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a couple different types of fire starters for all of your Yule festivities. Alright, so there's a couple of different ways you can make fire starters, and today I'm going to be doing two different ways. These are just things that I personally do. The first thing you need is wax, and I use leftover wax. So like when I buy a jar candle, I clean it out and I've got, the wax left over. And if you buy cheapy paraffin candles, that's really good. Or you can, any kind of wax will work. Paraffin is a highly flammable wax, so it works extremely well. I've got a large mason jar. It's already on the stove warming up, and I'm gonna just add these wax pieces to it as it warms up, and I use just like a wooden chopstick from some Chinese takeout to stir. And you want to make sure if you're using a jar, like a glass jar, to put it in the water and let it heat up with the water, otherwise the jar will crack and break. So I'm just gonna real quickly add this to my jar of wax. All right, now, while that's heating up, I'm gonna go ahead and gather my materials. I'm going to need a pine cone, cotton, or other natural fiber string, something that is safe to burn. So the same thing you use to make like your smoke cleansing sticks, scissors, and then of course my wax. And I've put down parchment paper to keep the wax off of my counter today. So you want to make sure that you got a pine cone with a stem. I don't know how well you can see that. Or something that you can tie off easily. I'm using white pine tree cones because that's what my neighbor's tree drops in my yard. I just go outside and grab them. So I'm going to knot off the string on the stem, like so. Now this is the part where your hands may get sticky, so if you have like some vinyl gloves you want to wear, this is when you want to do that. And you want to weave the cotton string into the pine cone around the, I don't know what these are called, but you want to wrap it around the inside of the pine cone. And most of them will make it kind of easy to go in an upward diagonal motion. So you just want to get around the center of the pine cone all the way up to the tippy top, and then knot it again around a little piece at the top. But first I'm going to go ahead and cut my string, and I want to leave, oh, these scissors are not great. I'm going to leave a lot of string so that I have enough wick to hold it.
That off at the top. Real good. And now you have a string so you can dip it in the wax. And I'm going to set this aside for a minute. And I'm going to go ahead and get started on the other way
that you can do fire starters is with a muffin tin. You want to make sure you're using paper cups. Just put them, mine got a little wonky in the drawer. In fact, let me see if I can find some that'll work better because these are a little misshapen. So here's some that'll work better. So yeah, you want to put just one in each cup for however many you're gonna make. I think I'm just gonna do 3. Today. And you want to fill the cups with good flammable things. Some people will put wood chips in. I don't have any wood chips readily available, but I have been saving dryer lint. So I'm gonna take my dryer lint and just put a good layer on the bottom. And dryer lint smushes down pretty well, so you're just gonna put a good layer of dryer lint on the bottom. Then from here you can add decorative elements. A lot of people like to add bay leaves, so I'm gonna get some bay leaves. My whole bay leaves. So I'm just gonna stick one in each little cup because bay leaves are used for wishes, setting goals. They're very good for luck, bringing in prosperity in the new year. You can also add cinnamon sticks. I recommend using, kind of short cinnamon sticks. So if you have some that are really long, you can chop them up into smaller pieces, but stick a cinnamon stick down in there. I also went outside and got a branch off of the pine tree that drops all of my lovely pine cones. So I'm just going to tear them off and put some pine needles in there, and I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make them half as long because white pine trees have really, really long needles. Smells so good. All right, so those are ready for me to pour my wax in, except I need a wick, right? So for these, you don't need a really long wick. You just want to put it down in the cup to make sure that it's gonna be long enough, and then, wow, these scissors are terrible. I'm just gonna get rid of them, I think. Give yourself enough of a lead. And you can also, for this, use candle wick, or if you want to use just cotton string, you can dip this in the wax to stiffen it up a bit. I'm not really gonna get that fancy today. I am just putting the wicks in the cups. They stay lit long enough to get the fire going. And for now, I'm just gonna
set these aside. All right, so here's my wax, nice and melted. It's blue right now because I had some candles that were wicked improperly, and so I just chucked them in here and the candles were blue. But honestly, you can add color if you want. You can leave it white. You can just roll the dice and see what happens when you mix a bunch of candles together. But so the basic idea is you're going to take your wicked pine cone and you're going to dip it. Like you can't really see that. You're going to dip it like an old timey candle. And you want to make sure that you're getting the whole thing covered. And then you're just gonna lay it on your parchment and let it cool. And when it's cooled, you're gonna dip it again. And I give mine a good 3 to 4 coats. So some people like to do, excuse me, I have wax all over my hands. Some people like to do a lot more. Some people like their pine cones to be like just totally wax covered. My finished products look like this. So it's a pine cone that's very clearly covered in wax, but it's not like a chunk of wax. So I'm going to give this another dunk. Use my stick this time so I don't get it all over my hands. And here's my cat in the way. And I'm just gonna put that there. Now, since I'm going to be pouring in my muffin tin, I'm going to transfer some of this wax to a small pouring pot that I have on hand for my candles. This is not necessary. You can pour straight from the jar. It's just sometimes a little difficult. Now, if you're using a soy-based wax, it's gonna cool really fast. If you're using more paraffin, it's got a higher melting point. It's gonna stay liquid a little bit longer. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour the wax into my muffin tins. Want to make sure that you're covering everything in the bottom. And since I'm using dryer lint for my primary base, it's gonna need to bubble down a little bit. So that's why I'm gonna use my stick and kind of push everything down. To make sure it's not floating, and I'm gonna add just a tiny bit more. And you're gonna fill those muffin tins with wax. And you'll notice some air bubbles coming up probably. That's good. Make sure the wick stays down. I'm just using the stick to very gently press down the dryer lint in the wick so that it stays in there. Last one. And to kind of pushes the air out and just now I'm going to set those aside to cool and harden. Okay, so I'm just going to set this aside for now and I'll finish it up later. But I just wanted to show when you're done, you're going to have something that looks more or less like this, just depending on how many coats of wax you want to do. So I'm just going to put it in this bowl to show you how well
can burn. So I'm gonna go ahead and light the wick. And just give it, there we go. Okay, feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. Click the little bell for notifications so you know every time I post a fresh video. And I will see you all next time.